Right now on Currents News, a painful loss for the church in Queens. Coronavirus has taken another priest.
The life and legacy of a beloved priest serving in our diocese, how Father Gioacchino Basile is being remembered. I'm Jessica Easthope, and that's ahead.
Could the death toll in New York be stabilizing? This as coronavirus claims 599 lives in the state overnight. Plus,
streaming masses, a way for parishioners to stay connected with their faith during quarantine. I'm Emily Drewby, and coming up, you'll hear from Catholics who are tuning in online.
And a New York doctor is turning his home into a printing press that cranks out much-needed face masks. He's with us tonight. The news starts right now. Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. We begin tonight with breaking news from Britain. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is now in intensive care as his coronavirus infection worsens. The British leader was diagnosed with the disease on March 27th, but only had mild symptoms then. Now the 55-year-old Johnson is in the ICU unit at London's St. Thomas Hospital. Earlier today, Johnson tweeted that he was in good spirits, but British officials are releasing little information about his health and don't plan regular updates. The Diocese of Brooklyn mourning the loss of another beloved priest. Father Gioacchino Basile died on Thursday from the coronavirus. Father Basile was from the Archdiocese of Newark, but served the church in Queens as the pastor of St. Gabriel's in East Elmhurst. Currents News' Jessica Easthope is at the church with more on his life and legacy. Jessica.
A man of service and a father to all. That's how Father Gioacchino Basile is described by those who knew him best. Father Gioacchino's life was tragically cut short late last week. He is the second priest serving in Brooklyn and Queens to die from coronavirus. This video of Father Gioacchino Basile singing at a priest's retreat is how his closest friend, Father Sean Manson, wants to remember him.
He was just a very down-to-earth guy. You saw, that God exists looking at him.
Father Gioacchino was already on medical leave from his duties as pastor at St. Gabriel's when it was discovered he had contracted coronavirus.
It makes you feel welcome at any time. He was a spiritual father to me.
Father Miguel Angel Cervantes, now acting pastor at St. Gabriel's, believes Father Gioacchino contracted the virus at church.
We had some cases of positive coronavirus in the parish. He was in contact with the people when nobody knew that this was present.
According to the latest data from the health department, East Elmhurst has anywhere from more than 300 to nearly 1,000 cases. Father Sean Manson says his good friend, Father Gioacchino, was dedicated to helping those most impacted.
They live on top of one another. It's easy to say we need to socially distance ourselves for one another, but it's very difficult.
Father Gioacchino's parishioners considered him a spiritual guide. Jessie Lema is no exception.
I give thanks to God that he gave me the chance to know him.
Lema says the community is in need of Father Gioacchino's wisdom now more than ever.
The only vaccine that we have right now is to pray. And again, I'm sure that Father Gioacchino is interceding for us.
A memorial mass for Father Gioacchino will be held here at St. Gabriel's and live streamed on Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. And when social distancing is no longer required, a public mass will be held in his honor. Father Gioacchino would have celebrated the 25th anniversary of his ordination this year. In East Elmhurst, Jessica Easthope, Currents News. Christine?
Thanks, Jessica. The U.S. Surgeon General says this week will be the hardest and saddest the country could see in a lifetime. And while Governor Andrew Cuomo says the curve could be flattening here in New York, he warns there's a real danger in getting overconfident too quickly.
This is an enemy that we have underestimated from day one.
Governor Andrew Cuomo says while the total number of hospitalizations and ICU admissions is down, and the number of deaths in the state, totaling 599 overnight, but effectively flat for 2 days, show a possible flattening of the curve, which is good news. He says we can't be lax. Cuomo showed pictures of crowds gathering in different areas of the city over the weekend.
Look, people are dying. If I can't convince you to show discipline for yourself, then show discipline for other people.
The governor says social distancing works, and because of that, schools and non-essential businesses will remain closed through April 29th. The fine for violating social distancing now doubled to $1,000.
This is serious. This is serious. What right do you have to act irresponsibly in a way that could get you sick or someone else sick?
Hospitals are bracing for the possibility of hitting the apex of COVID-19 cases this week. Mayor Bill de Blasio warns the city only has enough ventilators and medical supplies for the next few days. Cuomo says it helps that the Javits Center is now accepting coronavirus cases, and hopefully the U.S. Navy ship Comfort will soon too, something President Donald Trump is open to.
That was not supposed to be for the virus at all under any circumstances, but it looks like more and more we're going to be using it for that. So
the president sounded optimistic, saying the U.S. is making progress in the war against the pandemic.
We're starting to see light at the end of the tunnel.
And while New York City is still the hot spot, Governor Cuomo says we'll get through it.
And we are still New York tough, and New York tough means tough, but tough in a New York sense also means compassionate. It means that we are unified. It means that we are loving.
According to Johns Hopkins University, the number of known cases in the U.S. is doubling about every 5 days. Seriously ill coronavirus patients in New York are being treated with the drug hydroxychloroquine. Although there's no solid scientific evidence showing it helps, President Trump has promoted the medicine as a potential lifesaver. About 4,000 New Yorkers are getting the anti-malarial drug at more than 50 hospitals across the state. Overall, more than 130,000 New Yorkers have the disease, and even though the death toll could be at a plateau, over 4,700 people in the state have died. There are 4,500 intensive care patients, but the day-over-day increase is the smallest in 2 weeks. In the city, confirmed cases now top 72,000. A resounding tribute and some food as well for the heroes on the front lines battling the coronavirus pandemic. New York's finest, with sirens, flashing lights, and applause to show their appreciation for the doctors, nurses, and support staff at Montefiore Medical Center in the Bronx. The NYPD also brought boxes and bags of food and other refreshments for the medical personnel on the front lines of the COVID-19 fight. Facing down the disease while building up the spirits of the medical heroes are hospital chaplains. Father Brian Carney had been on the front lines at Flushing Hospital until a pre-existing medical condition forced him out. This morning, I spoke with him about his own health and why he's fighting to get back to the hospital.
One of the doctors got a hold of me, started giving me a test and took some x-rays. And it wasn't the virus, but it was a leaking heart valve and a lung problem that I never knew I had. And now it's kind of took a hold of me, and I don't know how to handle it. So I have to rest, get stronger, and get back in there. I became a priest to serve, and I don't like being not there. But I've never seen, outside the military people, the dedication. These kids, God bless them, they do it in spite of their fears, in spite of the hours. They just do it. It's a calling. It's a vocation. I pray, I read scripture. And I'm telling you, I'm holy now to a point that I've never been, I have been in my life. But I want to roll my sleeves up and get back and put my spirituality into my ministry.
Father Carney was struggling with his breath for much of our interview. He believes his condition is made worse by stress from the outbreak, and right now he is resting at his home parish of Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament in Bayside, Queens. Many other priests of the Diocese of Brooklyn are manning the front lines to bring God's word to the faithful. With churches now closed, the clergy are devoted to live streaming the Mass and other services. Currents News' Emily Druby tells us how parishioners are responding to the new way to spread the Catholic faith.
Surely it is not I, Lord.
Streaming Mass right into homes. The new normal during the coronavirus quarantine. There's many ways to do it. James MOISE tunes in for the Masses celebrated in Creole that air on Net TV and stream online.
I'm very grateful that we're able to access it online, and even though we're not there in person, but we're able to pray along.
Many parishes in the Diocese of Brooklyn are now also streaming themselves celebrating Mass on their Facebook pages. It's a unique way for parishioners to stay in touch with their home parish, especially during Holy Week.
In their hands they carry palm branches.
Father James Rodriguez has been streaming from St. Rose of Lima Church in Rockaway Beach.
People do need to see a familiar face and their own pastor. You know, there's something about the shepherd's voice, you know?
Over in Carroll Gardens, Brooklyn, Sacred Hearts and St. Stephen has also been streaming on Facebook. This has helped Carolyn Zoda adjust to a world where she can't go to Mass every day like usual.
I'm so grateful that I have this opportunity to view it on Facebook. It really has been a great source of comfort to me.
St. Francis de Sales in Belle Harbor are seeing success with their videos, pulling in thousands of views and hundreds of comments.
To know that that many people can take part and come together and pray, wow.
Mm-hmm. And people have said how comforted they feel, especially hearing the voices of priests that they know.
Both pastors are also streaming live Q&As on their Facebook to stay connected, because really that's what people are looking for during this difficult time.
But we do miss the personal contact, you know. We're going to celebrate with others, and let's hope this subsides soon.
In Brooklyn, Emily Druby, Currents News.
Holy Week around the world is being celebrated differently this year. All services will be streamed live, including within the Diocese of Brooklyn. Here's the schedule for live Holy Week Masses to be aired on Net TV tomorrow and Wednesday. 8 a.m. English, 8:30 Creole, 9 Italian, 9:30 Polish, 10 Spanish, 10:30 Mandarin Chinese, and 11 a.m. the Korean Mass. The complete list of Holy Week Masses through Easter Sunday is available at dioceseofbrooklyn.org/masses. There's a lot more news headed your way. Saying Goodbye will take you to a memorial mass held for a beloved Catholic high school assistant principal who died from the coronavirus. Plus, a parade of thanks, why these parishioners jumped in their cars and lined up over the weekend. And a mask maker, the high-tech way this doctor is pitching in to protect his fellow healthcare workers during the pandemic. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. A community said goodbye to a beloved Catholic educator this morning. St. Francis de Sales Parish in Belle Harbor, Queens, held a memorial mass for Joseph Lewinger, a husband, father, and assistant principal at the Mary Louis Academy for more than 20 years. He died from coronavirus last week. Pastor Father William Sweeney talked about the lessons Joseph brings even in death.
He's teaching us how precious life is, how important family is, how important it is to be people who spread the good news of Jesus. Let us celebrate that, and let us ask God for his strength and the peace that we need.
The Mary Louis Academy family has started the hashtag Love for Lewingers so people can post their support to his family. Parishioners at St. Francis de Sales also took the time to thank their priests this weekend in their own version of a Palm Sunday procession. Hundreds of cars honked their gratitude, lining up for blocks and blocks with homemade signs to say thank you to Father Sweeney and Father Jim Cunningham for their help in keeping the parish together during the pandemic. Parishioners also waved palm from their windows in honor of the holy day. Here at home, so many people are hard at work doing special things to overcome the crisis. Dr. Stephen Irosa is one, turning his home into a workshop to create those much-needed face masks. He joins us now from Yonkers. And Doctor, you're actually sitting in the place where you make those masks. Can you show us how it works?
Yes, absolutely. So what we're doing is actually we're making face shields, which is the protective covering over the face to block any aerosolized particles from getting to your face mask and your eyes and things of that nature. Essentially what we're using 3D printers that I've gathered from various libraries and universities in Westchester and the Bronx. to coordinate an effort to produce these shields. So the way it works is basically you have something called a filament, which is like a plastic wire that's on a spool. It gets fed into this little thing, which is called an extruder, which essentially is like a hot glue gun. If anybody's seen a hot glue gun, the filament comes in at this end, it feeds it, and the computer will tell it where to lay out that plastic line to build a three-dimensional object. At the end of it, we end up with a visor that looks like this. And this is all open source. This is shared around the world by makers from various countries that are all dealing with the COVID response. And you can actually get some of this information on the NIH websites, etc., to figure out how to do this at home. A completed visor is a plastic shield that gets clicked in to the little slots on the front, which is all through a hole punch, basically a standard hole punch pattern, and just sits on your face.
Wow. Now tell us, what inspired you to do this?
So I am a physical medicine and rehabilitation doctor. So I work with people with disabilities, and in training, we utilize 3D printing technology for a variety of things. One was to create prosthetic hands for children in underserved communities or abroad, as well as I did some work with virtual reality, and we utilized that to build some products to arrange cameras and things of that nature. And so as a resident, I had the experience, and now that I'm working in Westchester County and affiliated with a hospital, St. John's Riverside Hospital in Yonkers, seeing the world moving in this direction, using 3D printing technologies in situations where they absolutely had to, when they were running out of equipment or parts and supplies. These stories are popping up all over the internet. It was an initiative that came to my mind. You know, we might as well be prepared and hopefully never need to use any of these things. And so that's when I said, well, now that the lockdown has happened and we're closing universities and schools, these printers are going to go unused. And if they're just going to sit there, why wouldn't we reach out to see if they would be willing to donate and or have staff, which some universities are, staffing the computer and printing the components for us? And it actually worked out pretty well. And there are a lot of groups all throughout the country, and especially in the city and the state, that are collaborating, working together. I'm in touch with many of them, sharing ideas and equipment. So it's actually a beautiful thing. And that's how I sort of came about doing this.
Wow, you said you're working at St. John's Riverside Hospital. Can your masks be used there?
Yeah, so we donated 50 of them there. I'm in contact with the New York Health and Hospitals, city hospitals as well, through my residency program, and through Montefiore, through my residency program where I trained. And we're all collaborating and donating as much as we can. But it's a small drop in a bucket, but it's something that can be done. So
yeah, it's great. And how many face masks are you making a day, and how are you distributing them to these places?
So right now we can do, with the machines that I have, about 1 per machine per hour and a half to 2 hours, just to produce the actual plastic. Now, other heavy-duty industrial machines can crank them out in about 45 minutes to an hour. It's faster, but these are the standard ones that you would have in your home or at your university. So in a given day, I try to run them as much as possible. So somewhere between like 36 and 40 masks per day, which is something. And we're working on ramping up and getting more to the hospitals in need. I have contacts at all the hospitals. I asked them if they need them. We have 50 to go today. Would you like them? And then we just, I dropped them off. That's basically it.
Wow, that's great. Dr. Stephen Arosa making 3D face masks at home. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
And stay with Currents News. If you have medical questions about coronavirus, the doctor is in every Friday. Send your questions to askthedoctor@desalesmedia.org. We'll try to get to all of them. That way you can be safe and healthy. Again, the email is askthedoctor@desalesmedia.org. And for Palm Sunday, unlike any before, Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio delivered a video message to the Diocese of Brooklyn, saying the best way to prepare for Easter is with strong faith.
We have to strengthen our will, and that's what Lent is all about, strengthening our will by prayer, by fasting, by doing good things and giving alms. Yes, this is the only way we can get to Easter without any resentment in our hearts.
The bishop added that to experience Easter joy, make peace with everyone. A stunning image from St. Peter's Basilica on Palm Sunday, the Pope celebrating Mass with hardly anyone inside the great church. The pontiff told the millions watching the service on TV or online that the crisis is an opportunity to love and serve others. He also pointed out that the suffering Christ endured in his passion is intended to assure humanity that we are not alone. Still to come on Currents News, hey Google, what is prayer? The popular search these days on this popular search engine. And Sing It, Sister. We'll show you how these nuns brought joy to their neighbors on Palm Sunday. Hospitals in Rome are working with doctors from Wuhan, China to tackle the pandemic. Together, they've developed software to analyze CAT scans of a patient's chest. In just 20 seconds, doctors will know if a person showing symptoms of pneumonia might actually have the virus. Italian hospitals are working on two fronts during the outbreak, treating people with the disease and developing a coronavirus vaccine. At the same time, prayer is also crucial in beating back the disease, and searches for prayer are surging worldwide on Google. The experts are linking the online activity with new cases of COVID-19. The intensity of the searches increase every time new virus cases are confirmed. And the U.S. Bishops' Conference is reporting that Twitter mentions of them are up nearly 3,000%. And finally tonight, during these troubling times, we could all use a neighbor to lean on. Well, the Sisters of Life in Manhattan decided they would lend a helping hand. The nuns went outside to sing for their neighbors, even taking requests at one point. One neighbor asked for the famous Beatles song, Let It Be, and they were happy to oblige. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. We leave you tonight with the moving moment when a Michigan priest, Father Mark Rutherford, responded to a request for a blessing of protection for the healthcare professionals in his parish. Good night and God bless.
I want to pray a prayer of a spiritual canopy of the Heavenly Father's love, protection, angels upon all of you.
With your blood, Lord Jesus Christ, we now choose to put on the full armor of God.
And we approach the tasks and unknown challenges that await us as if it were the first time.
Fill the cup up. I'm burned out, stressed out, and, be able to carry that back to those that we take care of.
We're here to take care of others the same way Jesus would have.
God is there for us, and I just really believe that any blessing is going to help.
There always is hope. God's not afraid. Why should we be?